All right, I will call, or sorry, we're coming back from closed session, right? Where we can. Yeah, so is there any reportable items?
No, the city council met in closed session, and there are no reportable items.
Thank you, sir. I will now call the regular meeting of the Wildomar City Council and Cemetery District to order at 6:02 p.m. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember DiFilippo.
Here.
Councilmember Moore.
Here.
Councilmember Morabito.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nig.
Here.
Mayor Marquez.
Here.
Yeah.
Please.
Everyone, please rise. Place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
It's the Carlos and Dustin show, man. We got this.
All right. So with that, I think that leads us into presentations. Is that correct?
Angela Murillo. Yep. Angela here?
Is Angela here?
CRR?
No.
Angela Murillo.
Yeah, she was supposed to be here. I don't see her. I don't see a CRNR
We go
representative.
by college rules here, right? So we'll be 10 minutes, then we leave. All right, so. All right.
All right. Well, then with that, we'll move along to Police Department quarterly update presented by Lieutenant Reese.
There he is. Look at that guy. Yeah. You did a good job, man.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. I have for you your quarterly statistics for October, November, December of 2025. So if you're ready, we'll dive right in. Starting off with calls for service. October of this year, November of this year, as you can tell, calls for service were slightly down compared to 2024, which is a good thing. Unfortunately, December, they jumped back up. If you look at the hours, you can tell that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. are usually our busiest time.
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.?
Yeah, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Arrests. So for the year of 2025, for October, November, and December, you can see felony arrests were slightly above, slightly better than in 2024, same 3 months. And then misdemeanor arrests for October were about status quo. November, they were slightly down. And December, they were really down. And the reason for that is in 2024, we had a special operation that Patrol was part of, that they were out being extremely proactive, that unfortunately they didn't get a chance to do this year. But next year for sure. Your Part 1 property and violent crimes, which include aggravated assault, robbery, rape, homicide, burglary, larceny, and vehicle theft. For 2025, it was down over the 6-month period for aggravated assault compared to 2024. It was down in robberies. It was way down in rapes. Unfortunately, homicides were up. Burglaries were slightly up. Larceny, grand theft were slightly down. And vehicle theft were up by 2. The breakdown of the Part 1 violent crimes per month, as you can see for October, it was up 1 compared to 2024. For robbery, it was down. Rape, it was down. And homicides, 0s, which we like. November, it was down for aggravated assaults. 0s for robbery and rape. And then the homicide, of course, +1, unfortunately. And then for December, you were down in aggravated assaults, and it was 0s across the board for robbery, rape, and homicide. For property crimes, unfortunately, October of this year, we were up in every category, +2. For November, you were down in larcenies. Unfortunately, burglary, you can see, jumped up big time from 1 to 7 this year. And then vehicle theft stayed at the same number in October as 3. And then December, the only one that was slightly down was vehicle theft. So here's the average response times. Priority 1 calls are the immediate threats. These are, we need to get there. We're not waiting. We're going in by ourselves, basically. Those numbers statistically across the board compared to last quarter and the previous one before that, they're about the same, which is good. We want them under that that 10-minute mark, basically. Get there quick. Priority 2s were slightly better this quarter go around. The biggest difference was the priority 3. Last go around, we were averaging about 49. This time we're averaging right around 38. So that's a huge plus. And then the priority 4s, those are the lowest priority. Those are landline contact calls. Those are no suspect info. Unfortunately, those take longer because the priority 2s, 3s, and especially the ones call for our attention immediately. Traffic collisions. In October, you had 28. November, you had 26. In December, you had 30. You had 1 fatal collision every month. In October, you had 177 citations. November, 123. And December, you had 228 citations.
Nice. Jump in real quick right there. So, what's the reason for the jump? Is it more proactive? The second mode officer on board? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, proactivity. Christmas spirit of giving. I don't know what to say. Yeah. All right. Primary collision factors. As you can tell, the primary collision factor all 3 months, the main one is unsafe speed. So if people could slow down, that would be a huge help. Unsafe turn is the second leading factor, and sign violation. And with that, I'm open for any questions. Sorry.
Up here on the dais, do we have any questions? No
All
questions.
right, thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Santa Claus. Yep.
All right.
All right.
Good job. All right. Next up, we have the Fire Department Quarterly Update presented by Chief Dustin Reed. Looking a little different today?
How's it going, guys? Mayor, Pro Tem, City Council. My name is Mike Basic. I'm one of the battalion chiefs here in the battalion. I'll go over the quarterly review. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over the statistics, talk about the incidents, automatic aid, and then Fire Marshal's office for the quarter. October 1st through December 31st for 2025. So for the city, we ran 990 calls. So roughly down about 400 calls from quarter 3 to quarter 4. For medical aids, we ran 762 medicals within the city. We had 6 structure fires, 71 traffic collisions, and 1 vegetation fire. With that, Station 61, the Wildomar City Station, ran 685 of those calls. Station 94, which is the Lake Elsinore Station, ran 40 of those calls. The Menifee Station ran 94, and the city of Temecula ran 4 of those calls. As you can see, this is a heat map of that area. It shows all the calls within the city limits. Talk about some automatic aid for you guys. So we assisted with Wildomar for this quarter 0 times, and then with Murrieta assisted us 3 times for the quarter. So Murrieta Fire Department came into the city about 3 times to assist. Okay. Station 61 assisted with City of Lake Elsinore 57 times for mutual aid, and then we received mutual aid from City of Lake Elsinore 46 times. Menifee came in to assist 95 times, and the City of Temecula came in 3 times. For the Fire Marshal's office, we had 115 plan reviews. 10-day average was the turnaround time for that. So a little bit down from the third quarter. And then for the inspections was about 207, so a little bit short from 257 from the third quarter. But we had 100% on the average for a 2-day turnaround time. Couple updates. We had the Toys for Tots drive. That went really well for the kids, taking care of the families in need. That was a big event for the city, so that worked out really well. Some things, some activities. Some pictures here. One was a structure fire that was had within the city. The Quint 97, Quint 90 pictures that you see here on display, that was F.A. Cook's. That was a funeral that we had for our fallen firefighter. Station 61 was there representing the city. That was a tough day for us. And then on the upper right-hand side, there is a high-angle training. This is something that we do that's very important for us and for the community. This is a high-risk, low-impact type situations. But what this is we go around throughout the city and find these areas where it requires technical rescue, and we involve the training aspect and try to get all of the engine companies involved in this type of training for these type of events in case we ever have a rescue. And then on the bottom right there is a plane crash that happened on the Ortegas where engine 61 and squad 61 were involved. Any questions?
Do my colleagues have any questions? No questions. I do have a question.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the mutual aid that we received from the other cities.
Yeah.
I think you mentioned Menifee had close to 100.
Yes.
I'm just curious how that's determined or what area of the city they're supporting. And the reason that I ask is, as we're exploring or determining the need for another station,
yep.
just wondering, is it in that area, like leading towards Menifee? Is that where we're seeing that we have the need, right?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get that determination based on where we're receiving this aid.
So we're seeing that aid base because of that area, because that's that I guess you would call that gray area. Is that what you're saying?
Right by Sunset and,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Railroad.
basically what it is. It's that kind of what we call that dead zone, I guess you would call that, right?
Right.
So we will be able to pull that up on a map and we'll be able to see that more if that's what you're asking. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Menifee 68 runs into the farm.
correct. Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly
Right
what.
by Meredith Road, right? And yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Very good. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have the Wildomar Library Quarterly Update. Is there anybody from the library? Don't see them. All right. We'll move along to our Community Development Department. And, Community Development Department and Development Activity Update presented by Robert Flores.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council, Robert Flores, Community Development, here to present your quarterly department update and also development update. First, we'll start with a brief department stats for the last quarter of last year, followed by our 2025 achievements. I will end the update with some development activity within the city and a few announcements. I don't think it's up there. Sorry, trying to get the right slide on there. Oh,
Slides are printed.
okay, perfect. Then I don't have to do this. As you can see on the sheets before you, we typically have anywhere between 100 and 150 public contacts a month at the city public counter, mainly for building, planning, and engineering inquiries. The total count for 2025, for the 2025 calendar year, reached over 1,500 contacts, which were well above previous years. Now, on the next slide, towards the end of the year, the building division took in about 194, issued 201, and finalized 198 permits for a total private investment in our city within the last few months of just over $34 million, with a total investment of last year of approximately $78 million and over $333 million within the past 3 years. Additionally, the Building and Safety Division was able to bring on board a new administrative assistant to help with administrative work of the division. On the next slide, moving on, planning took in 8 entitlement applications in the last quarter of 2025 for a total of 49 applications for the calendar year, which is higher than the past 2 years. And lastly, for department stats, code enforcement opened 86 new code cases, issued 24 citations, performed 354 inspections or re-inspections, and closed or gained compliance for about 60 cases in the fourth quarter of last year. In addition, code enforcement held 8 homeless outreach operations with about 33 contacts last quarter, with more than 4 times the operations in 2025 and 2024 than in 2023. Now I want to get into some important achievements for our department. The department has seen a small increase in public counter contacts, which may be because of the city hall being open on Fridays. It's worth mentioning that in the past year, our department took over the responsibility of the reception area citywide and also hired 4 new team members. Additionally, Building and Safety successfully brought forth an ordinance to adopt the 2025 building codes and found a software, Symbium, which I'll speak about a little bit later, to implement SB 379 for streamlined rooftop solar permitting. Similarly, planning also brought forward an ordinance that replaced the old county zoning code with the new development code that helps implement the latest version of the general plan. Subsequent to that, we also brought forward to this council 3 additional ordinances that modified the development code further to align better with new goals and direction. In 2025, planning also started a new group of staff and contractors known to us as DRG, or Development Review Group, that meets regularly and collaborates on everything that has to do with development. This new coordination allows the city team to help development projects move through the process quickly and efficiently. And on the last slide for the 2025 achievements, if you recall, our planning and code team successfully incorporated the local hazard mitigation plan into the safety element, allowing for certification of that plan that opened doors for disaster and grant funding. And in fact, our code enforcement team was able to recently submit an application for the 2028 update of the local hazard mitigation plan to the state for FEMA grant funding on that. And lastly, the department successfully released a request for proposal to bring on a consultant to help the planning team prepare the specific plan for the Wildomar Old Town area as envisioned in the 2013 visioning exercise and also spoken within our general plan. It's been a busy year. Moving on to, I want to share some construction activity within our city. On the next slide there, you'll see Little Caesars that actually opened up at the end of last year, December, along with the McDonald's along Bundy Canyon and also the Starbucks. We also have D.R. Horton's Avellino there. This is a recent picture actually today of the construction being done on the final phases of that track community. We have the Camellia Townhome project that's also adjacent to the D.R. Horton site that's also underway. There's a lot of grading going on and also street improvements for that area. We have the cottages. These are recent pictures. As you can see, the walls and the buildings have been erected, and there's a lot of work being done. It's not just undergrounding and utilities. It's now full construction of the buildings for that project. In addition, this is the Marriott. They're still going through grading plans. We have not issued building permits for this, but the grading is still ongoing. And then we have Tres Lagos, as was mentioned previously. Phase 1 and 2 are fully built. I believe Phase 2 is getting close to be fully occupied, but Phase 3 is what's still going through the process and getting constructed. And then lastly, we have the Wildomar Crossroads, just across the street from here, City Hall. There's a lot of grading. It's pretty much wrapped up. I'm not sure if they're complete, but we're also working with them on building permits so that we can issue and they can start erection of the buildings. Now, on the last page there, I want to close my update with some exciting announcements related to Symbium and SB 379 implementation, pre-approved ADU plans, and emergency management's LISTOS training. First, we are at the point with our Symbium implementation where we are ready to launch. In fact, we have targeted the last week of February for full launch of our online streamlined solar permitting platform. This will allow residents to apply and receive immediate approval for plans, saving time and money, and also allowing us to comply with SB 379. Next, I want to announce that we are wrapping up our review of pre-approved architectural ADU plans to release them for the public consumption and use. These new plans will allow residents to save time, money, to process building permits for detached ADUs. Our new plans include 6 floor plan options with several design styles and customizable options. So we're trying to be as flexible as we can within what we have. We will also bring a full set of plans to this council for acceptance as required by the grant, but our goal is to release those plans prior to that the next council date. And lastly, I wanted to play a video, but we don't have the slides on there. But we have created a video for the Listos training that's coming up here within the next few weeks. We're going to be opening a registration for that, and we have a set of English and Spanish videos that we will be launching. Fortunately, I can't share with you tonight, but we are getting ready to move that forward. I do, in fact, want to bring our emergency management team up if they are here, so they can speak on a little bit more details on that training.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members. I'm actually really excited to announce that we've set some hard dates in March. So anticipate, like you said, the videos that we have are super fantastic. You know, I'm really excited about this because I live here, so I'm a resident here. To see something like this, plus having a robust CERT team that we have, I think this is going to be great. Meeting the volunteers that are dedicated and meeting the mom and dads that just want to learn how to take care of themselves and how to find themselves in a disaster. So there's lots of things that we're going to be expecting. I'm going to give you a little bit of an example of like what we're going to do during the day. So Mayor, do you have a go bag when there's an emergency?
It's out of date. I have one, but it's out of date.
All right. But what do you have in your emergency bag?
Batteries, flashlights, some waters.
You know, those are all great items. But do you know that you need medications in those things? You know, medications is a big plus. We all take medications, and sometimes we need those things inside there. Another thing is like my bag may look different than yours. I have children. I may need formula. You know, formula lasts for 2 years, unopened. So those items, pet food, some of those items that you need. So everybody's go bag looks different. So we're going to teach you those things and how to take care of what's right for you during an emergency. So I'm really excited for you guys to be part of it. I'm really excited for our community to be part of it. It's going to be free, and we're going to give a bunch of giveaways to start their own personal go bag for an emergency. So I'm really excited to go for, you know, being Wildomar ready for an emergency.
Fantastic. I do have a quick question. You mentioned that we have dates for March. Can
Yes.
you share those, or are we waiting for the videos for those?
We're waiting for the videos for those and also for our flyer to be announced.
Got it.
But everything's going to be on our website for registration. It's going to be open. I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for all the hard work that you guys have put into that. It'll be a great benefit to the community.
I apologize that we don't have the videos, but they will be released within the next few days, so
Yes.
hope you enjoy it.
Awesome.
They're gonna go viral, man. Look forward to seeing them.
I'm excited that we're doing this. We haven't done a CERT training in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is going to be a plus, just like I said. So CERT is completely different than Listos, but this is going to be a great combination of both, right? CERT and Listos, and then getting to the Hispanic individuals as well that want to take care of themselves. And hopefully this grows to other languages, and then we can bring more people in. So I'm super excited. Thank you.
Awesome.
And that concludes my report. Available for any questions.
Any questions?
Is there any update on the Walmart? Or I know submitted a grading plan.
Yes, so Walmart is still actively pursuing their permits. We actually just recently received hopefully the final version of their grading plan. And if that's the case, then we can issue and they can start grading as soon as they clear some conditions. But we're working with them. We meet with them weekly, and they have a lot of traction and they have a lot invested, and they're working with us. So I envision that's hopefully by the end of this month or early next month, you'll start seeing some movement on that site.
Okay, thank you.
On that same topic, because, you know, Walmart has been a topic forever, and when they were at City Council in 2015 or something, it's like about a year from opening the door. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they are heading that direction. So it's not like sounds like before summer of 2027. You can finally buy underwear in town.
Yes, they're looking to start construction activities with grading within the next few weeks. So we're trying to help them get to that point.
Any other questions? No? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. We now move on to public comments. This is the time when City Council receives general public comments regarding any items or matters within the jurisdiction that do not appear on the agenda. Per the Brown Act, City Council members are not allowed to respond to public comments not on the agenda. City Clerk, do we have any public comments?
Yes, first speaker is Darla Dunn.
Hi, y'all. It's Darla. I'm a Wildomar resident, and I started my own small business, and then I discovered that there was a need for a market to exist here in Wildomar, so I founded what is called Wildomarket Space Events, and in 2025 I hosted 3 successful events in October, November, and December, where I brought 110 different small-based businesses and food vendors together at Faith Bible Church, and we had a great time. And I want to speak to you a little bit today about I guess it would be code around the temporary event permit. On E-code, it's line 17B, 5, and 6. Your temporary event permit only allows 6 calendar events per nonprofit. And it's kind of constrictive for somebody like myself who's trying to bring these events. And I know that there's a strong desire for eventually Wildomar to have what's called a certified farmers market. In order to meet that criteria, you have to host an event every single week, which means that I would have to work with other people to apply every 6 events. So every month and a half, we would have to apply for a new temporary event permit to the tune of $150 plus the fire marshal fee and other fees that are involved. And so I'm just making a recommendation to you guys to maybe consider getting together, talking to Chris Mann over here, and letting him know that maybe you guys want to reevaluate how the temporary event permit operates, making it easier for Wildomar to have an established long-term public market where we can support our small business community. And when I say small, I'm talking really small. I'm talking like home-based business people that got together. So, yeah, and that's all I have to say about that. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Darla.
Next speaker is Michael Wenzel.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm a resident here in Wildomar, off of Union Street, and we're on a private road in Union Street where it's Sheila Lane to Bryant Street, and we have some pretty bad flooding going on there. It's been going on. I've been here 4 years in that area.
Sorry, excuse me real quick. I think you want to speak maybe on 3.2, because that's what we're going to talk about, the dirt roads.
So do you want me to come back later?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Wenzel.
Nolan King.
You're nice person. Okay, well, we'll go.
I've already spoken with them.
No.
Evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council. My name is Nolan King, resident of Wildomar. I have 3 items I'd like to share with you today. The first, revelations continue to occur about the abuses of the flock camera system. As you know, we have flock cameras within the city. We had some information shared from our friends at RSO demonstrating some utility, perhaps could be argued minimal utility. They have not caught any illegal dumpers, for instance, which would be really great. I would encourage the city to investigate and really understand the abuses that are occurring with the flock system and reconsider that contract. I think it's detrimental to the safety and security of our residents that we have that system abused by parties that aren't the city of Wildomar. Second, last week we saw several hundred students from the Lake Elsinore Unified School District exercise their First Amendment rights in protest. I'm proud of them. Thank you for our friends at RSO, again, for maintaining the safety of those students while they're out in the street, as well as the Lake Elsinore Unified School District staff who were committed to the safety of our students. One item that stood out to me with that is that students were walking down Mission Trail and several other streets within the city of Wildomar that didn't have sidewalks awful shoulders, very dangerous. So I'd encourage the city to prioritize some of those thoroughfares where our students are leaving our schools, to perhaps accelerate those sidewalk improvements as we are able. And finally, a small item, as chair of the Riverside County Archives Commission, I have the privilege of suggesting new meeting places for our quarterly meeting of the Archives Commission. And I'd like to ask this body for the privilege of bringing that meeting to the corporate room here at the city of Wildomar. You have my contact info if you want to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you, Nolan.
No other public comments.
With that, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve agenda.
And I will second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed? None.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. We now move on to the consent calendar. City Clerk, are there any public comments on the consent calendar items?
No public comments.
Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
Motion to approve.
And you have a second as well.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right. Well, that brings us to public hearings for the Community Development Block Grant.
Yeah, there's something right here too.
Oh, thank you. Allocation of funds for fiscal year 26-27 and extension of time request for fiscal year 24-25 funds. I will now open the public hearing at 6:33 p.m. Staff presentation by Associate Engineer Cameron Luna.
Or Jason Momoa, or Maui, you know.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Wildomar City Council. My name is Cameron Luna. I'm one of the associate engineers in the Public Works Engineering Department, and I have the pleasure with presenting today's public hearing on the Community Development Block Grant. We have two actions requested of the council. The first one would be to adopt a resolution reflecting the allocation for the fiscal year funds, federal fiscal year 26-27 funds for the CDBG program, as well as approval and authorization for the city manager to submit an extension request on one of the prior fiscal years. It's essentially just a cancellation notice that will merge the fiscal year funds from 24-25 with 25-26 and extend the term length of that agreement for the approved project, Mission Trail Sedco Sidewalk Phase 3. So as required by the program, we are a cooperative city for the CDBG program under the County of Riverside. That's led by their Housing and Workforce Solutions Division. And the city released its notice for the upcoming federal fiscal year funds on October 15th. We closed that public notice on November 17th. We typically receive around $130,000 each year. So the upcoming fiscal year's anticipated allocation is $129,400. During that period that we had the public notice, we received one application from an eligible nonprofit prior to that funding deadline. $15,000 is being requested from this nonprofit, which is the Dream Center Lake Elsinore, for their Hope Food Pantry program. The Hope Food Pantry program is one of the approved food pantry programs listed on the city's website. The application was reviewed by the County of Riverside and by city staff, and is an eligible application to receive these funds. They have previously received funding by way of the council in prior fiscal years as well. And so with that, staff recommends that the remaining fiscal year funds outside of the nonprofit's application for the $15,000 be allocated towards the Mission Trail Sedco Sidewalk Phase 3 project. This is a project that's in the current fiscal year, gearing towards construction. So the engineering staff has received the 100% improvement plans. We have worked out utility relocation agreements with Southern California Edison, who's a player in that. And it's essentially a public improvement project that's the third phase of the Mission Trail Sedco sidewalks that have occurred in the last 10 years, all utilizing CDBG funds. So this would be the final phase, which would lead this corridor here of active transportation along Mission Trail to the Malaga Park, which is pictured here. And so I always use this as an example, as they still use this as the report cover letter for the program in the county as a whole. So we're very proud of that, and it's a completion project where it's a segment that will increase the safety, address some of the blight and right-of-way improvements that can be made there. And so we are planning to advertise that project on schedule within this current fiscal year, and these additional funds would help us execute that plan. And so with that, I'm here to answer any questions in regards to the recommendations, and we also have a representative from the nonprofit as well who can speak to their application. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public comments?
Yes. Brett Masters.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Mayor Pro Tem, City Council. I'm essentially here to primarily express our appreciation, our gratitude for your consideration of our application to be included with the CDBG funding. And of course, if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But I always come to these with some notes written down, and then I think of a million other things that I want to say. But I'll try to stick to my notes and respect everybody's time. But so I am representing the Hope Food Pantry, which serves Lake Elsinore, but surrounding communities. Really, our boundaries are the Lake Elsinore Unified School District boundaries. So, of course, that would include Wildomar, Canyon Lake, the unincorporated part of Lakeland Village, and then some of southern Corona. So, Hope started with 12 churches in 1990. That just banded together. They recognized that there was a need. A lot of people who are struggling with monetary and material need, and they banded together to meet those needs, primarily clothing, food, and housing or shelter. And so for 35 years, this organization has been going with what just began as a dozen churches, which as a pastor, I'll tell you, churches don't always play well together. So I think that's a pretty cool legacy to be a part of. We help with, as I said, food, now hygiene products and clothes. Really, this is an income supplement for people who are in the greatest need. The primary folks that we're serving are going to be seniors on fixed income, single-parent households, adults with disabilities, veterans, and many others. So with your help and the help of several other municipalities, because we apply for the CDBG funds to Wildomar and a couple of others, including Riverside County. But last fiscal year, we were able to serve an average of 3,000 households a month. We stay very busy. It's all volunteer driven and a lot of donations, but the CDBG funds covers our cash costs. So rent, vehicle transportation, picking up food, those types of things. So 370 of those households were Wildomar residents. We're serving twice a month. Over the course of an entire year, there are 39,000 individual service interactions. So each one of those interactions is an opportunity not just to give somebody food or what other material items they need, but also just to give them some encouragement, just offer actual relational hope and encouragement, let people know that they're not alone. So lastly, I'll just say that through the CDBG funding we received, we're able to make this extension of hope something that we can provide on a consistent, dependable, recurring basis. We've been around, as I said, for 35 years, and my hope is that we extend this indefinitely in the future. There's always going to be people who are struggling, who are going through a challenging season in their life. We want to be there for them. So with that, I just really want to express our gratitude. Regardless of the determination you make, we feel honored to be able to make an application. And there's been several years you guys have supported us, going back many years, and we're extremely grateful for that. So thank you very much. Questions or...
No
okay, thanks for the opportunity to share. Really appreciate you guys. I'm a Wildomar resident, love Wildomar, and really proud of our city.
Should have led with that. That was good.
Yeah. We love our city.
Thank you.
No other speakers.
All right. There being no further comments, I will now close the public hearing at 6:41 p.m. Is there any discussion up here on the dais?
I'm okay with the 15,000 to Hope. I'm fine with that. I had a question for Cameron, though. And Mr. King mentioned sidewalks, so here you go, the very next item. So we started at this, does it go from Olive to now Alberta, and now from Alberta to Malaga?
Correct, yeah. So the phase one project, which was in 2019-2020 timeframe, was it began at the lowest part of the city's low-mod area. So the low-mod area is defined as north of Olive Street, west of the 15 freeway, south of Malaga, and east of Mission Trail. And so the public improvement projects that can utilize CDBG are restricted within this defined area that is defined by the census. And the first phase of the Setco Sidewalk Mission Trail project, we were able to make public improvements with sidewalk, with new bus stops, new mailboxes for the residents, and driveways, which assisted with a lot of the drainage issues that had occurred there. The segment from that was from Olive Street to Setco Boulevard. And then the second phase picked up from Setco Boulevard to Alberta Road, which is across from a hidden trail in the city of Lake Elsinore. So this third final segment would be from Alberta Road, Hidden Trail, to Malaga Road, which is the location of the park.
And so then what you're saying is we couldn't go south, you couldn't do next after this one, we couldn't do Olive to Lemon.
We would have to find a nexus that the HWS group would have to concur that would be eligible.
Okay.
As long as we show that it serves the residents of this low mod area, if we could make that argument, then I think you could find that the funds be eligible, but that hasn't been determined.
Okay. That's something we could look at maybe.
That's more of a next year thing, is that what you're saying? Like, not right now type thing,
But
like
yeah, in
next?
the future.
Yeah, okay.
But then it sounds like what you're saying is what Nolan had mentioned was from Mission Trail to Canyon. That's outside the CDBG area.
Yeah, so I want to highlight on the consent calendar was a agreement to begin the design of an active transportation facility along Bundy Canyon to Mission Trail. Back in active transportation cycle 5, the city had applied for this segment and Mission Trail to connect all these projects, and we scored a 90 and the cutoff was a 92. So we just missed that opportunity. But as one of my colleagues had mentioned, the latest cycle is currently running for active transportation. So that's something that staff has already prepared that application, I think twice now, that could be one way that you utilize, funds from outside the city to address, communal need in that way where it's not tied to CDBG. So that could be one thing that we have explored before, because they're certainly, they're good projects.
Yeah,
so
they're really good.
yeah.
Also for bike riding, because I live Grand Corridon and I'll ride my bike to the levee. But then it's hard to get on Mission Trail right there until you get to Olive, then I can get on the sidewalk.
Yeah, and certainly these projects have been identified in our active transportation plan and our mobility plan. And so beginning with the project prioritization that was listed in there is this opportunity to complete this project so then we can look forward to the next one.
Okay. Thank you.
I have a question for you too. I'm happy to have the money going to Hope. That's good. But so there was only one applicant?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this current year we received one from the food pantry. The prior year we did not receive one. I think the prior 2 years we did not receive an applicant. Some of that interest, it varied during the COVID period where, we were doing the meetings virtually, but then, you're publicly noticing in the paper. But we do, and we don't, the city of Wildomar does more than just the, 30-day minimum. We add a couple extra days and we do try to promote it. Our hope would be to give you guys the most opportunity in that instance. But in this case, only one application was filed timely.
Interesting. All right, thanks.
I know, because Habitat for Humanity reached out to me and they had said that they were going to apply. So I'm surprised they didn't.
I don't have any questions. Just thank you, Dream Center. Thank you, Brett, for all the work that you do. It's a flourishing, vibrant service. Thank you.
I have nothing important to say other than I also appreciate the work you do, and I look forward to voting on this right now.
Yeah, I also just want to extend my support. I think it's great that you're providing resources to Wildomar's neediest residents. So thank you so much for that. All right. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-7?
Motion to approve resolution number 2026-07.
And you have a second as well?
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right.
All right, we now move on.
Congratulations.
We now move on to general business. Item 3.1, fiscal year 2025 to 2026 mid-year budget report presented by our finance manager, Adam Jantz.
Thank you and good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, members of the public, and fellow city staff. My name is Adam Jantz, and I'm here to present to you tonight the fiscal year 25-26 mid-year budget report. So if you go to the first slide, this is just an overview of some of the changes in the general fund that we're proposing. So currently with the adopted budget, which includes the first quarter adjustments, we were projecting a use of fund balance of, we were beginning with a fund balance in general fund about $10.2 million and utilizing some of that fund balance to about $9.8 million. The proposed adjustments will have a net decrease of about $54,000 in the use of fund balance. So I will say that number is a little bit soft. We're fairly conservative on our revenue estimates. So once we get better understanding of the revised sheriff rates in the next couple of months and property tax revenues, that will likely move up to a higher, closer to a surplus. In terms of revenue trends that we've been seeing, property tax are still increasing. We have some adjustments to the revenue to be 5% over the previous projections, but we have been seeing 5 to 6% growth rates on property taxes still as houses are being reassessed on their property taxes. So we're looking into see how long we continue to maintain those growth rates, but it's been good for us for now. In terms of sales tax, however, we have been seeing the Bradley Burns has been fairly flat over time. Those are only applied to transactions that are physically located in the city, whereas AA has been increasing consistently over time with inflation, as that's a destination-based sales tax, so it does incorporate internet sales. And we've also seen a slight influx of cemetery service revenue, where activity has been trending up, with anticipated to increase closer towards the summer. So over time, this is just a short chart of seeing the sales tax. You can see that the AA has been increasing fairly regularly over time, whereas the Bradley Burns has been fairly flat. Indicating that a lot of the residents' activity is trended towards online sales. In terms of expenditure trends, what we've been seeing is we are anticipating legal costs to increase in the next few months as with employee organizations as MOUs begin to be negotiated. So we are looking at the legal expenditures for negotiating that and anticipating some increases in that in the future that we may need budget adjustments for, depending on in the legal cost, depending on how those go in the future. So we're keeping an eye on that. We're also looking at expanding the maintenance program for the road maintenance program to improve our pavement repair capabilities. So one of the asks in this is to add some additional vehicles for road repair, which I'll get into in a little bit later. We've also seen a recent increase in development engineering activity. We've been utilizing contract support as some of those positions have been out for recruitment for a while to help. In the meantime, while those positions we work on filling those positions. And also facilities costs have been fairly high as some of the buildings, not just the City Hall, but also like the fire station are needing some ongoing maintenance for door fixes and items. So we are seeing that as some of this building is, I believe, it's about as old as the city. It's about 18 years old. In terms of some adjustments for personnel, we are adopting a revised schedule of authorized positions. There are no totally new positions being added, but there are 5 reclassifications that come along with 3 job descriptions. There's a conversion of community services to community engagement department, and also establishing a public safety department cost center at 4625 to accommodate the public safety management manager position, and retitling of the maintenance manager to a public works manager, and a grade adjustment. And for revenue adjustments, in looking at the revenues that we had, both the actuals for last year and what we've been seeing come coming in with some of the early property taxes that usually come in at the tail end of January and more in May. We're proposing to increase some of the property tax projections to be about, we originally were planning 5% increase over what we had last year. We came in a little bit higher with the actuals in 24-25, so we're adjusting them up to be 5% over what we actually received, which usually come in around some of the final ones in July and August of last year. So about 448,000 in total adjustments, revenue projections upward for that. We're also increasing 140,000 to our projections for development engineering revenue to accommodate for some of this for older deposit-based projects that are also still seeing a resurgence in activity that kind of go hand in hand with the increased activity in development engineering, as well as increasing our projections for interest revenue as interest rates are still been high, and cemetery service revenue. We also have going back to the proposed road maintenance adjustments. So originally we had anticipated, we budgeted out of AA for the road maintenance program. So personnel was to be paid generally at a gas tax, and they have some of the harder costs of the road maintenance program at a AA. And we are anticipating to look at the program, and then we originally budgeted for a dump truck in fiscal year 26-27, but looking at the success of the program so far and what we've been able to, what the Public Works Department has been able to achieve, and looking at the needs and desires, with some of the activities of holidays, they're proposing to add about 340,000 into AA for one-time cost to bring forward some of the vehicle cost. In other words, to buy some of these heavier equipments, move them forward so that they can be better responsive to pavement issues, such as some of the repairs that they had recently. So we are looking at 120,000 for a skid steer, which is like a kind of a multi-use vehicle that you can outfit with like rollers and bins and such. Also 27,000 for a pavement roller to help roll out the asphalt, and another 115,000 for clearing storm drain pipes, and some to cover some of the emergency repairs on Grand whose costs have already been occurred, and also 50,000 for asphalt mix and materials to apply that. In terms of other expenditure adjustments, we're adding about $4 million in for the bond proceeds. That's more of an accounting formality to account for the bond issuance we just had, as that gets reimbursed to developers. So that's not really, it's more of a formality for accounting purposes. It's not a general fund item. 120,000 in the city manager for a strategic plan and furnishings for the new staff coming on for the new management positions. We're also proposing to increase development engineering by 240,000 to cover the contract staff cost while positions are being filled. Generally, contract positions run around 100,000 more than a staff position. So while we utilize, while those positions are being recruited, we're looking for additional money to cover some of those costs while those are being recruited. And also an adjustment for the animal shelter for the revised operations cost allocation. They revised the debt service previously, and then they applied that allocation to the quarterly field operations as well. Also, there's also some adjustments for the reallocation of staffing budgets from community engagement to facilities, and also an additional 35,000 in human resources are being proposed for reclassification of one position in temporary support while negotiations and MOU negotiations take place, and also 98,000 for a public safety manager. That position was approved in I believe the December meeting with the revised schedule of positions, and we're now just moving the budget for that. So just a little bit of summary of a little background on some of the items for the road maintenance program. We added the graffiti trailer last fall, and after several incidents of pavement failure and storms, we're looking to expand it with the pavement rehab capabilities with the skid steer, the roller, and asphalt and materials. The plan is to store them at Lot 5. We've decided that site will accommodate it. And with that then concludes my presentation. I'll just add two additions that there were two slight updates to attachments on the first resolution for formatting on the job descriptions, and adding of the economic development manager to the position classification. And with that concludes my presentation. I'm open to questions. Thank you.
Are there any public comments?
No public comments.
Sorry, does council have any questions?
The 200,000 for the animal shelter, is that for 1 year or is that for
Sorry, could you repeat that?
the 200,000 for the animal shelter?
Oh,
Is that for 1 year or is that?
yes, that will bring us up for the whole year, yeah.
So it went up that much?
On the field operations, yeah.
Is that,
Went from like
it's
10 to
only for field
17%.
operations or is it for,
Sorry, what was that?
is it only for field operations?
Yes, field operation. We already had adjustments previously for the debt service, so it went from like 10 to 17%, I think.
And do they project for the next year it's going to go up again?
I don't believe we have the projections for that yet.
That's a lot.
Just a quick comment. You mentioned how the Bradley Burns sales tax have been kind of flat. But as we learned, it sounds like Walmart's on its way, and we can imagine a big bump once they open their doors, so that'll be good.
Yes, that would help a lot.
Any comments?
I was just saying we can abolish sales tax altogether, but thank you for the report.
All right, I do just have one question. So as we're looking to expand our capabilities with the road maintenance program, is there a plan to eventually shift from cold patch to hot patch?
Public Works Director can answer that.
Yeah. So eventually, yeah, that's our goal. There is additional equipment that we would need to be able to do hot mix repairs on a more routine basis. But there's that equipment is larger in size, and we need larger capacity vehicles that can tow that. And so we felt like at this time we're not quite ready to move forward with that. Potentially when we move forward with a dump truck, that dump truck would actually give us a greater capacity, and we can purchase the right equipment that we need to service our needs long term. So instead of purchasing something small right now that we can use temporarily, we wanted to make sure to get the right equipment. So that may be a purchase that you see come forward as a recommendation in the following fiscal year potentially.
All right, exciting. All right. If there are no more comments, do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-8?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no.
Motion carries 5-0.
And is that the one with the amended exhibits?
I move the motion with the amended
Okay, thank you.
document.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks, Tom.
And then there is another, do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-9?
Yes, you have a motion to adopt 2026-09.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, thank you, sir. That brings us to item 3.2, Pavement Management Program Report, CIP 050-1, and Dirt Road Memorandum presented by Associate Engineer Cameron Luna.
Yes, good afternoon again, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the Wildomar City Council. I have the pleasure of kicking off just the item before you, which has two actions. The first one is to adopt a resolution for adopting our 2026 Pavement Management Program Report Update. And then the second action would be to receive and file the Dirt Road Inventory and Condition Assessment Memorandum. So with the PMP document specifically, in order to comply with the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017, this is the taxes that we receive at the gas tank that is collected, and we get about just under $1 million a year, which we can utilize towards the road repair and maintenance of our public streets. This includes our slurry seal program, and any improvements on those existing roads. In order to utilize those funds, we have to maintain a document on a reoccurring basis to support the recommendations of where the money is being utilized. And so that plan must include an inventory of all the arterial, residential, collector streets in the city. It must be updated every time we bring in a developer project and they dedicate new streets to the city, that it be updated. And then it needs to be updated with our own capital projects where we may add travel lanes, additional pavement width, raised medians to take out pavement. And so we have to get to definitive numbers as to what ultimately what is the city's biggest asset, which is its public roads. We also have to do a survey analysis for the pavement condition index, PCI, as you like to refer to it, Mayor. And so that's done at that time that we do a robust report update. And then that's typically done in a 5 to 6 year period. So this was the city's first time of doing it since 2021, and then on a biannual basis, the staff can kind of manage the report. But every 5 years or so, we go through a comprehensive update where in 2024, we awarded a contract to NCE, who's here to present to you today some of the findings of that report and answer any questions you may have. But those are the two actions for you on this agenda item. And with that, I'll introduce Vivek Jha, who's going to lead the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cameron. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So as Cameron already laid out, it's typically done 3 to 5 years, a payment management program. And so as part of this, I'll present like what is payment management program on the high level, how is City of Wildomar approaching the payment management program, and what else did we do as part of this program. So just quick thing, I'm Vivek Jha, I'm representing NCE, and we help like local agencies throughout California. We do this, we are experts in this particular field. Myself, I've done this for 15 years. I have a master's in payment engineering, so I've been looking at cracks since as an adult. As soon as I could vote, that's what I've been doing. So yeah. So what is a payment management program? It's basically a tool that provides, everyone out here to make cost-effective decisions. And we are focusing on 4 big questions. What are the streets that the city owns? What are the condition of those streets? What repairs are needed on those streets and when? And how much funding is to maintain the condition, improve the condition, or the impact of different funding scenarios, right? And these are like big picture questions, right? So we are looking at this from a planning perspective, not like drilling down into like, why shouldn't we do this over that, right? So, and the best way I look at it is like it's a health checkup. So you go to a doctor and the doctor says, hey, you're doing well, keep on it. Hey, you need to change your diet, maybe add in an exercise, or hey, we need to do something really fast, really quick, or it's going to go downhill pretty fast, right? So that's the way what we are doing. Payment management program, like I explained, the thing you will see through the report and through the presentation is something called as payment condition index. It goes from 0 to 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best. And the best thing about this is it's an ASTM standard developed by the Army Corps of Engineers. So when we hear a PCI score which complied with the ASTM, you can compare yourself to City of Corona, City of Riverside, the County of Riverside, and everybody is just on the same scale. For NCE, what we do is our engineers, our technicians, our equipment, as you will see what we used here, they all go through a process where they are certified by the MTC, which is in the Bay Area, and OCTA, which qualifies equipment and people, can they actually do it independently. After that, what we do is look at maintenance rehab. So what are the work that has been done since the last update? What was the impact of that, and how are they performing? We also took into account what projects are already coming down the road, right? So we need to make sure we account for that. So those are not, like, again, spit out from our analysis saying, hey, do Bundy Canyon Road. But it's like, hey, Cameron is already doing that. So we need to account for that and what's the benefit of that. One thing, again, you'll see is deferred maintenance. And deferred maintenance is like an item where we should do this road. We do not have money, so we're going to push it to next year. Come 2027, we say, hey, again, we don't have the money, we'll do this in 2028. And that kind of keeps on adding to your backlog. And one way to think about is today a street might need a crack seal, or you said about hot patching, right? So that might need. Next year it might be, we need more hot patch, right? And the cost of money is deteriorating, right, because of inflation. 4 years from now, you might need to do a slurry on it. 6 years from now, it might be a mill and overlay. 10 years from now, it might be a reconstruction. And that's what happens where it's not only the inflation that's acting, but the road is always getting worse. So that's why, as you can see in the first slide, I say, what should be done when is a big question when we look about this program. And then we ran budget scenario analysis as we kind of did this, looking at the existing budget, what happens if you have a reach goal, right? Like, hey, how do we get to a pre-CI of 80? How much money do we need? And before we began anything, one of the things specifically for city of Wildomar, which is kind of growing, was to figure out what do we own, right? Let's start from there and build out a database of what are our arterial, how wide they are, how many lanes there are, collectors, and residentials, right? And since the last 2021 report, when we did this survey before even going out, we figured out the city total pavement area increased by 13%. So what was on the file? So we added about 2 million square foot of just pavement. So that's a lot, right? In 5 years, that was a lot of thing. And as you can see on the map, we basically build out a GIS database. And this is a great thing to start visualizing your projects, right? What's happening where, and making sure everything aligns with, these the circulation plan, right? So everything is designated the right way, because the cost to construct an arterial is much, much higher than a residential and the collectors, right? So we want to have that idea of what exists, how many lanes, and how much pavement area. And with NCE, we always want to include technology where it's right. So when we were developing this inventory, we use high quality aerial images to figure out exactly how much is the pavement area, right? Because we cannot control what the cost of asphalt is going to be next year, right? It's dependent on a lot of factors. What we can control is the data that's coming in, the condition, the actual area, and then we keep up with the bit tabulation that comes out from the contractor to figure out the unit cost. So in this case, you can see that right now the total center light mileage is about 127, but the lane mile, which is including all the number of lanes on every street, that totals up to about 265 lane miles. The number of sections are basically, as a pavement engineer, we go and look at each about 100 feet of road and start clubbing them together as similar pavement section. Because if everything looks same, you can do same treatment on it, right? So that's what that represents. About 25 million square foot of road. And you can see the breakdown that residentials are about 65% of our area, followed by the arterial and then the collector. Our weighted average PCI is about 67 as a whole, and you can see the breakdown. And what we mean as weighted average is we are not doing a simple arithmetic math, right? So everything is divided by the area, so it's done it in that proper way. Big kudos to Jason and Cameron. So since the last PCI in 2021, we went up by about 4 PCI points, right, across the city. And one way to think about it is if we don't do any work, it would drop about 3 points every year, right? If you just let the pavement be, it drops about 2 to 3 points every year. Sometime a little more if it's really bad. If it's really new, it's a less. But about 3 points is a good. And we went up by about 17 points in our collector, 4 points in our residential. Since 2021, the public works touched about 1/3 of the city. So either it got an overlay or a slurry seal, but some treatment was applied about 1/3 of the city. And that's what's reflected on that increase in the PCI, getting a 4-point bump. This is a big picture comparison to your neighbors. So we are at 67, city of Riverside, 60, city of Corona. We work for them, PCI of 70, and the county is about 69, and the state is at PCI of 65. So we can see that we are doing in the right trend. And 67 is a PCI, as you will see in the next slide, that it's a good point to start building on the good work that has been done, right? Because roads are one of the biggest asset and the most capital intensive asset that the city owns. So if we don't preserve the capital investment already done, it starts adding up pretty fast. What you see is our data collection vehicle that was used for the city. And so right at the back, these are the lasers. So these are LiDARs which are focused only on the pavement. So it shoots down about 1 million point at every instance, and it's kind of picking up everything that is on the road. So you get all these micro cracks, the texture, the slope of the pavement. It's all GPS coordinated, so every time we know where our vehicle is, so we can kind of plot that again on the GIS part. We have 1, 2, and then 3 in the front, and then 1, 3, 6. So about 6 to 7 cameras on our vehicle, which helps us when, as a pavement engineer, I'm looking at a machine saying, these are the cracks. We are making sure that actually exist. But also now we can use technology to extract a lot of the assets. So if we want to do a sign inventory or anything, Jason and his team have that data to kind of extract on a long-term basis. And what you see on the outside is our algorithms processing the crack data, which gets manually reviewed by our staff. Diving deeper into the data, so if you look at the citywide, about 50% is in very good condition, which is above 70, right? And then the fair. One good thing to look at is we have a very small amount of pavement in very poor condition. And very poor means it's functionally should not be used as much, right? Like pavement has lived its life either because of being under-designed when we started it, or it just exceeded the capacity that it can take. But across the board, there is a very small portion of the network which is in very poor condition, and even poor condition, right? Which means that we can, if we do the preservation correctly, then we can start doing other bigger projects that can happen. Once we figure out what the condition of the roadway is, we have to figure out what do we want to do at different stages, right? And that's what I was trying to talk about earlier is if we are in a very poor category, we are looking at doing a reconstruction or something like a major resurfacing, which is about $51 to $125 per square yard, depending on either you're a residential or you're an arterial and what kind of pavement section you want. If you are in the fair category or to a good category, you are doing much more preventative or minor resurfacing projects, right? Which goes from a slurry seal, which might be $1.50 per square yard, to maybe just an overlay, which is about 44, right? And that's why it's very important to be much higher on the curve. And as you can see from the curve, it basically starts dropping pretty fast after 50, right? And that's just a typical life cycle of a pavement. And what whole pavement management philosophy is, if you're in that 90 to 50 range, you want to grab the pavement about 55 is a good break-even point and start pushing it up, right? You go do a patch, put a slurry on it, and then again, it's good for the next 10 to 12 years, right? And you keep on doing that as much as possible. If it goes below that, you can still kind of cover the pavement, but it's going to fail much faster than a pavement in stable condition when you apply a slurry on it. And these are the costs that we look through the bid task for the city of Wildomar for the past few years, neighboring agency, and then come up with the cost, right? And we are looking at design costs, construction costs, CICM in that. So when Jason and Cameron review the data, they have one cost to say, okay, it's going to cost me $44 from a planning perspective. And then we add inflation 3 to 4% every year. So if you're looking at a project done in 2028, we are accounting for inflation as part of our analysis. Once you kind of set up those decision tree, then we start asking this bigger question, right? What does our city's current budget, which is about 1.6 million, get us, right? In a long-term perspective. So like in 5 years, what will happen, correct? And then we look at, if we increase the budget, like add $1 million every year, so 2.6 million, what does that get us? And then, what is the, like I said, a reach goal of, hey, what do we need to do in the next 5 years to get to a PCI of 80? And what you're looking at there is those charts that at the current budget, we'll drop about 2 points, so it goes from 67 to 65. And then you kind of go down to stay at 67 with adding $1 million, and then, so on. And then, like I was talking about, like our deferred maintenance, right? And we don't want that to go really high, because once that goes high, suddenly our PCI is dropping and we need a lot of money to really bring that up. And this is something that we see across other agencies where, hey, we got the good PCI, so we're going to take the foot off the gas, and, there are other importance as well to do. And suddenly we come back after 5 years and it's like, oh, we are actually much down. And now we need to push that PCI again. It's much more expensive to do that. So that's on our PCI item. As part of the project, we also did again, a planning level study for the dirt road. So again, the idea was, where are these dirt roads, right? What are the conditions? And then what would it take from a big picture planning level to figure out if we wanted to take all the dirt roads and have an asphalt on it? How much is the cost? How much is the cost to put chip seals on it, right? How much is just to make it like good compacted dirt, right? Those big picture questions. One of the philosophy we took was, if a road is already asphalt, we're not going to say like, hey, break it down into dirt, right? So we want to keep it as it is. And the first part was we kind of wanted to map out, right? So we got stuff from Cameron, and we laid it out again on a GIS map. Again, like you see, we do a lot of visualization because it helps us plan. And then we actually got a truck, put cameras on it, and went out there, and we drove all of it, all the dirt roads we had in the city, because we wanted to record what the condition is at this moment of time. I was telling Cameron earlier, actually, our staff, he went to rent the truck, to do it. So the first truck you saw is about $1 million. So we are like, we're not going to put that on the dirt road, because last time we put it, we had to get a tow truck, get it out, so a lot of issues happened. So this time we got this big truck, put all the cameras, and then I got a call, and this like, oh, I think like the front bumper broke. And I was like, okay, that's why we get insurance. And my staff was like, I don't think we should get insurance. Like, I don't think so. But we were able to drive most of it, capture all the images, and that's available for Jason and his team to go through it. So one big difference here was, as we talked about the street, there is an established ASTM. So which says, hey, if you see this kind of crack, that's the type of crack, that's the impact on PCI. In here, when you kind of go through the report or our memo, in good condition, fair and poor in this images, it was more engineering judgment, right? So our pavement engineers went out and just looked at the dirt road and said, okay, like, do I see something that we can drive? So as you can see, the poor condition is really bad, right? So we were using engineering judgment, seeing if there are ruttings already within the pavement that would impact how we define it. And then we, like I said, we developed a cost estimate. Again, we went back and figured out what's the unit cost to develop a square yard of these dirt roads, including, what might be the concrete work, what might be the drainage work that will go in. And we did like these high level assumptions to get to this construction management design fees, added a 15% contingency. And again, because we are trying to look at, not everything is going to get done tomorrow. So it's like giving Jason and Cameron like a roadmap, how to do this, how much money it's going to cost us. And then basically developed a cost for, like city already has standard specification for an asphalt pavement, gravel road, chip seal, and then the dirt road, and developing a cost for that. And on a big picture level, you have about 60 miles of dirt road. Like, that's a lot, right? Interestingly, like the only other, we have done this stuff for only one other agency, where we went in and drove all their dirt road. And they are about 100 miles. So it's a county, so it's pretty bigger. Yeah. So, but for a city to have 60 miles, and it's pretty like about 30% of your total actually road network if you compare it, right? We have about 432 sections. Again, we use logic to break these down into similar things. 7 million square foot of those. And the condition category, right? You can see like mostly again is good and fair. And there is substantial chunk in the poor portion as well. But, there's a lot of them are in good condition already. And then the cost on the side is like, if you needed to get everything into asphalt, again, it's everything into asphalt, right? It's like 75 million in today's dollar, right? And then you go down gravel, chip seal, and dirt. One thing we did not take into account was like the right-of-way acquisition, right? So that's, sometimes it might be a big chunk of the cost is getting to. Like acquisition of parcels. Okay. Parcels acquisition, right-of-way cost, we didn't account for that because these things we know from a design perspective, it takes a lot of time, yeah. And that's pretty much it. Quick summary and open to questions.
Are there any questions up here on the dais?
Not yet. We have public comments.
All right, we'll go to is there any public comment?
Yes. Robin Jones.
Hi, good evening. I'm just calling to make a few comments about my neighbors and myself. We are on one of the dirt roads, Union, which is behind Marin O'Brien Park. Years ago, the housing tracts that are adjacent to this road, which is dirt, by the way, they were not, they didn't have to put in any drainage. So we have paved roads. One that comes towards the park, Union Road, it ends at a dirt road, and from there, there's nowhere for the water to go. The natural water course would go down a cul-de-sac, which is my property. It backs up to Marion O'Brien Park, so where the water used to go, now there's a block wall. So the water gets stuck on my property, and I have nowhere to put it. It's either to a neighbor on either side or over the wall to the park. So now I've had to build a huge ditch on my property at the cost of almost $1,000 to let the water drain into there. Otherwise, it floods my home and the garage. Now it's green, it's full of mold, it's a mosquito nest. And this is all because of water that's coming off of city roads that the city did not, they allowed the contractors to come in and not put drainage in these roads. So we really need the city to do something about that to help us out. It's affecting all the neighbors. Cars come down Union, there's no signs that are warning that a dirt road is coming. We've had several accidents from cars that are coming too fast down the paved road. They hit the dirt road, bounce around because of the condition of it, and slam into other people's fences. We've had several residents have to do fence repairs for that reason. When the pavement ends, we have a huge puddle. It's probably a foot deep. No warning signs that, that the conditions are flooded. The water is just trapped there until it's big enough to start flowing down the street and towards my property. My other neighbors here are also dealing with flooding. And in addition to that, because of the dirt road, it's just very dusty. My house is just horrible. We are dealing with a lot of delivery trucks, Amazon, FedEx, that use the road as access to, just as a through road. And they're flying down this road, sending dust everywhere. So anyways, we're just hoping that the city will come in, help us out, do something with the water that is coming off of city roads. There's no gutters, there's nothing to take that water anywhere. And we are having to deal with it just being stuck there. There's literally, we're trapped there. I can't pump it anywhere. I can't pump it out to the street because it just comes right back to my property. So, we just need some options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Wenzel.
Again? Sorry, guys. I don't know the proper way to do this. So I'm actually.
Thank you guys for having me. I'm actually one of her neighbors too, and I like I said, I moved in 4 years ago. I do underground construction. I've been in local 12 union for 27 years, so I kind of inherited that problem of the flooding, because that's up my alley. But it does come down Sheila, right? I know the housing tract above that has storm drain on Grand, but it does come down there, and it just puddles up. We actually have a guy that's been there since the 80s that he built a well, with a submersible pump, because it gets so bad it floods his back house. He has a back barn, floods that out all the way to his drywall. So he improvised a pump system, and he pumps it into our other neighbor's yard, which he has permission to do that, right? So, which is, that's all we could do. I had to build a berm dike, otherwise it would come down Sheila, go under my house, which was a problem. And I do storm drain for a living. So the closest storm drain I can see is on Bryant Street. You have one. And then the channels down south. You have the big channels, where all the storm drain runs. So, it would be some pipeline, some RCP pipeline you'd have to put in. But like she said, the guy that's been here since the 80s said it used to run down, and that was a turkey farm, right? The county, right? You guys have only been a city for how long, right? Okay, so the city, you guys inherited their problem, right? Or you can wash your hands of it. So that's a thing. Another thing is the Griffith Company. You guys had them do the horse trail, right? Well, I don't know who gave them permission to dump their fill dirt in the middle of our street. So they took that from Sheila to Bryant, and they dumped the excavation there. So now there's a crown in our street from that horse trail. I think it was Griffith Company.
How long ago was that drop?
It's been about 6 or 7 years. I think.
Okay.
So I don't know how, and that's a private road now, but I don't know how they got permission to do that. That's sounds like a cop out. But so I think there was engineers out there shooting it, because like I said, I do for a living. And there were some surveying companies you could see shoot from Sheila to Bryant. Well, with that crown now, I think the natural runoff should go down to Bryant Street, but now it's not gonna. It's gonna go to my house, Bill's house, and then Robin's house. And then the car thing, that we've had a car miss a gas meter by 4 feet and end up in someone's yard with kids too. That was the other one, the horse trail. The vehicles are doing donuts because you're going from asphalt to dirt, so then they think it's playtime, right? You guys did implement a stop sign at Bryant and Union just recently, I think.
Last year, a couple years ago.
You know, so that's cool too. You know, that where I actually put up signs 10 mile an hour because it's a private. I was told it was a private road about 3 years ago that we can't really, you know, so I got the ones on Amazon. You know, they're reflective and 10 mile an hour private road. That doesn't seem to work. We've had a couple rocks go through windows from them doing burnouts. So that's a concern, right? The dust, the air quality is a bad thing. We can't have our cars clean for more than 2 days. You know, like she said, Amazon, FedEx, post office comes down. So we're just kind of caught in a pickle of what we can do. You know what I mean? And we all chip in for me to maintain it. I work construction, so I've done a couple years where I bring in road grindings. We all pitch in, but that eventually with the water, it just goes back down into the dirt too. So we're just, you know what I mean? We need to come up with something. As far as paving it, you can't really pave it because the water's still going to sit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's on us anyways, right? What I've been told. So it's just definitely need a DI, you know, a drain inlet there, and a couple. Figure out a way to make it go anywhere, somewhere else.
Mr. Winslow, thank you so much for coming up
Yeah.
and advocating for your neighbors, yourself. Rest assured you have been heard. Is there any more public comment?
No other public comments.
All right, thank you guys.
Mr. Mayor, if I could ask our city engineer to maybe chime in on this issue, if we have any information. I assume this is an issue that we're aware of.
This stretch of Union Street is bordered by actually a public paved portion of Union Street and then Bryant Street on the west. And we have heard concerns about different issues in the past, whether it's speeding or just the condition of the roadway. Because it is not a city maintained road, we do not do any maintenance on that roadway. The drainage issues in particular, I can't speak to right now. I think it's something we can definitely look into and see, where is that public runoff coming from. I think a lot, if not all of the subdivisions surrounding that area were developed under prior to the city's incorporation. But that is something we could have our engineering team go out and investigate and see what's going on with the drainage. Is there something that can be managed from the city side? The signage request in terms of the transition from public to private and paved to unpaved is something we can take a look at as well. The drainage in general, when sites are being developed, engineers are supposed to design the drainage to mimic the pre-existing drainage, not alter it, not increase it, not redirect it. And so if the natural drainage did historically go there, there may not be a lot we can do in the absence of actually constructing a storm drain system, which is obviously has a lot of cost associated with it. But we can definitely look into the concerns that have been raised, see if there's anything immediate that stands out as needing to be addressed or that can be addressed.
Can I just add that the block wall from the park is blocking where the water used to go?
And we'll definitely take a look at that. And if we have your address, we can also follow up with you and reach out as well.
And I got one more thing too. Is the maintaining it part, right? We maintain it, right? We all chip in, and then the flood water destroys it again.
About 10 years ago, we had the city engineers come out there.
Right.
They looked at it, yes, we've got a problem. We've got to get money from the state. That's 10 years ago.
So I think the best thing, Mayor, I think the best thing is maybe we set up another meeting for in the future. I have been in contact with Ms. Jones, Mr. Wenzel, also the Shockleys. I drove over there in January and met with the Shockleys on a Saturday. I have brought this issue up for the residents many times. I think one time, just a ballpark estimate, I know it changes, was $1 million to do this. And wouldn't it just be the paving, as you understand, the paving, the whole design would also have to include the drainage. And so that's where it goes up. So there's another program that I think I've mentioned to you before too, is about, so we just need 2/3 of the neighbors on that street to agree. And we could do just some sort of payment management program. So I think.
Your taxes.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So not every person on your street's going to have to agree, but 2/3 of them are going to have to agree. So far, because like we heard tonight, we have 60 miles of dirt roads. No street has been able to get the 2/3. Maybe you'll be the first. But I do think setting up another meeting in the future would be a great idea.
Yeah, we can definitely follow up on that. And I did want to add this memorandum, the Dirt Road Memorandum, does include planning level costs. Again, not for drainage, not for right-of-way, just for pavement, but it ranges from almost $650,000 just to pave the street to lower cost depending on the different options.
Right. And you are correct. This is a problem that came from the county. We have been a city almost 18 years. On July 1st, it'll be 18 years. So this was another problem that we had inherited from the county.
City Clerk, and do we have contact information for these residents?
We have addresses, but no phone numbers or email addresses.
I have probably emails for most of them, but if you want to give your phone numbers, you can write it on the comment card.
All right. Thank you. Are there any additional public comments?
No other public comments.
All right. Back up here to the dais. Do we have council comments?
No, that's it.
That's it? Nothing? All right. Do I have a motion to adopt? Well, actually, I do have a question. Vivek, if you can come back up. And Cameron, since you mentioned how much I love the PCI, if we can go back to that slide, the PCI condition. Yeah, so this one right here. And I'm only going to ask this because, as you mentioned, you guys love to provide the visuals.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated their inclusion in this report and presentation. I'd be curious, and I don't know if the juice is worth the squeeze.
There we go. Just quote me.
All right.
Yeah.
But I'd be curious to see on the GIS map what the PCI condition is, like outlining the roads, right? Just to get a better visual that way of it. Sounds like you guys have done most of the work. You'd probably just color coordinating it, doing that piece of it. And then I want to reiterate one thing. When we see the very poor and the poor conditions, natural inclination is, hey, that's the area that we should target, we should focus. But it's actually the opposite when it comes to PCI, right? We want to maintain the roads that are actually in fair to good condition because it's cheaper. But with that, I guess my question then becomes when, and I know the how part, right? We need the money, but when do we get to address the poor or very poor roads?
So,
good question.
Okay, it's just working out. Right. So great point on the map. So we do have that in our report in the appendices, like a visualization of the entire city in terms of different condition. So yeah, Cameron, I can send that standalone that he can share with the
Perfect.
council.
Thank you.
One thing to think about when we do these plans is like different buckets. Like we said, what gives us the maximum value, right? So there is one, like we don't want to lose the PCI dropping. So you say, okay, like I'm just giving it, if you have $1 million, So we say, okay, like we ran scenarios analysis for Jason and Cameron that looked at if we put 335% towards a slurry seal, which goes a lot, right, comparatively, and then kind of taking bigger capital projects. So you do this slurry, preventative maintenance, maybe an overlay, and then maybe a reconstruct. So the mileage is going to be really short for those very poor, right, and the cost is going to be high. And you basically sometimes build up to like, hey, we are not going to do a big project for 2 years, let's say, or 3 years. So you save up the money and you do a longer stretch. So if you review our report, what we did as part of this study was when these payment management, like when you do analysis, it's a shotgun approach because it's only looking at cost-benefit analysis. Mm-hmm. So it's going to say like, hey, take the street, do that end and do that end. And it's going to be really cool, right, because you got a maximum. But nobody's going to build it like that. So what we did was we took the report, the results initial, and actually use our engineering judgment to build out projects for the next 5 years on a high level, right, which every year Jason and his team will bring up with addition and subtraction, saying, hey, this is the best way to utilize the money. And then, we kind of chip at it. Maybe, like that's maybe the best way to put it is like you can only chip at it because if we go, like you said, all bad, like the PCI is going to drop and you won't have that mileage goal, but also the fair road. Like the good road will go fair, but the fair becomes poor and very poor, which we'd want to avoid here.
Right. All right. Appreciate that. And then the last thing I want to say, I just want to highlight or reiterate for the public, we are trending in the right direction. Our PCI went up since the last report. So yeah, that's encouraging. Thank you guys so much.
And being in that like high 60s is where you can start planning out much more preventative work, right? And then having that bucket. If you are in the low 50s, it's very hard to do anything because you're just always like trying to just keep afloat.
Right. Makes sense. All right. Thank you for that insight. All right. With that being said, do I have a motion to adopt resolution number 2026-10?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Dang.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, that brings us to item 3.3, contract award for Bundy Canyon Road Rehab Project and Slurry Seal Project, presented by Associate Engineer. What was it? Yeah, it's going to help our PCI, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so as the second part of answering your question, Mayor, the real program, CIP 057-3 is our road maintenance program, and then we also have the slurry seal program, which is CIP program number 058. So this is the third iteration of these projects, of which the slurry seal projects target those higher range PCI value streets, so the 70 above, to maintain them in that PCI range of being a good street quality. And then program 057-3 is to address those ones that are in the poor category. And so we try to bring a robust program that merges both recommendations so that we address both ends of the spectrum. And so this project is a result of us trying to, in this case, Bundy Canyon Road, which, go to the next slide. We're looking to address the segments west and east of the Phase 1 widening project. So back in 2021 is when we did the first phase, which was from Cherry Street to just east of Oak Canyon Drive. And this project is looking to address pavement underneath the I-15 freeway undercrossing going westbound in front of the Elsinore High School to Mission Trail. Separate segment is what we refer to as segment 2 prior to the widening project, that the road ultimately needs to be serviceable during that entire construction period. And so as you may remember during Phase 1, while we were widening the road, ultimately the traffic doesn't go, and we have to manage that through the duration of the capital project. So this is a precursor project to address some of the pavement concerns with Segment 2 and as well as Segment 3 going to the city limits towards the city of Menifee. And so we advertise this project both as an initial investment to future capital outlay, but also to increase the PCI in segments where we're just getting started. So earlier on the agenda, there was the item that's going to design the public right-of-way for that western section. So we don't foresee outside of this project that being updated relatively soon. So you have two different scenarios where we, the staff, think it's a good recommendation that does target that lower PCI value here in the near future, and then works with our future developing projects in the capital program. Separately with that, we take that opportunity to also advertise our Slurry Seal Streets program. The reason being is you just get better economies of scale. Ultimately, it's the same classification of contractor, same type of public notification, ultimately public interim disturbance, but then overall public improvement to the streets. And so we've had a lot of success with compiling both of those two pavement management program type projects. And in this year, we have a lot of streets that were identified north and south of Clinton Keith Road, so very close to City Hall here, east of the 15 freeway, and then as well as southwest of Palomar Street. Notably to include is we're also going to address two of our municipally owned parking lots, so one being City Hall here after we made that purchase. We're also responsible for the parking for the staff and the community to come to the meetings. And then separately is the Marna O'Brien parking lot. And so previously, we had done that as a standalone maintenance operation where we're getting the benefit of including it in this citywide project and getting a stronger dollar value in being able to do that with a Class A contractor. And so we already talked about the PCI at length, but as I had mentioned, these projects really target your excellent and good streets to keep them there, and then to bring up the rear of your very poor failed streets all the way back up to 100. You get much more streets in addressing the top brass than you do at the bottom, but it's to overall increase that PCI on an annual maintenance basis. Roadway priority, this comes directly from the general plan, which roads are identified, arterials, collectors, that move the most people and goods throughout the city. The roads that you're most likely to use on a daily basis are people who come and visit our city, whether it's for work, community events, things of that nature. They're likely to take one of these streets. And so as a result, the volume of cars that take those streets, the classification of cars, some of these streets are designated haul routes that are moving, 10-ton trucks throughout the city. That's going to wear on the pavement at a different rate than a residential street or a cul-de-sac, where it's only just the neighboring properties that are going to utilize that. So we try to keep that in mind, because if those are not maintained, then those are the streets that are going to depreciate the fastest. And then as a result, you don't have to live specifically off that street to benefit from it. The community as a whole and the region at large benefits from those being maintained properly. Future overlapping projects, it's really two-pronged. You have our future capital outlay projects, so where we see ourselves widening roads or adding bike lanes. That we try to be cognizant of that we don't feel like we're paying twice for the same pavement improvement. But also when we have developer projects that come in, if they're conditioned to make certain improvements in the public right-of-way, that we earmark them for that improvement, and that we don't forego that condition on their project, that we try to coordinate that effort, whether they pay what we call cash in lieu for what their responsibility is, or we execute our projects in a way that the developer goes first, or that it's a cohesive effort. That way we maximize the public dollar, essentially. And so that's part of our consideration and what is developed in the staff recommendation. And our PMP report, to what we know currently, takes that in consideration with the future fiscal recommendations. Probably the most important part is our staff throughout the year at the front counter, through our Public Works hotline, and through emails, some of which we receive from the council, is we gather the public input. Where as a community are we seeing where maybe a depreciating street is at a different rate than maybe our PMP reflects? Can we go do an investigation with that? Several of our streets are managed by different property owner associations, homeowner associations, where they have the onus of reporting back for their community requests in the public right-of-way that we take a look at. So we gather that, and on an annual basis, when we bring our recommended streets for approval for the funds, like our RMRA funds or Measure AA funds, that we make sure public input is considered as part of that process. And lastly, a controlling parameter is obviously the rehabilitation costs. So as part of the biannual budget, these programs are funded, which kind of sets one of the constraints for what we try to recommend to get the most out of that. In this case, this particular project is the accumulation of 2 annual funds in order to capture the rehabilitation costs for the lower PCI streets. And then as well as, again, just the economy of scales. When I have multiple residential tracks to slurry, we're going to get a better unit price on that. Specifically with this project, we are also at the point where a lot of the community facility districts in the city, that those reserve balances have matured to the point that now we can call upon those reserve balances in order to maintain those streets, which helps the program as a whole. So just in general, any questions? But yeah, there are several actions on there. I'm not going to go through them all, but in summary, it is to approve the award of the contract, to approve funding sources being reallocated towards this contract opportunity, which is a great opportunity from what our staff had estimated to what the lowest responsible bid that we received. We think it would be an advantage of the city to move forward with this project and to be able to explore what other PCI improvements we could make at this time. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions before we go to public comment?
Sure. So at the last meeting and this meeting, I say parks and roads. I said that last time, and I'll say that again. I'm so glad to see this coming. When will it start? When will Bendy Canyon from the freeway to Mission Trail start?
So part of the project scope of work involves the state right-of-way, the Caltrans right-of-way. So as soon as we onboard a contractor, they have requirements that they need to submit in order to get an encroachment permit in the same way that the city requires contractors to provide those type of items for an encroachment permit. So that is a process that can move forward. Once we have a contract award, it is very typical to see within 60 days of a contract award that contractors fulfill their required submittals with traffic control, public notices, things of that nature. So that's just a general time frame. The estimated time frame that was provided in the report would be to complete the project by the end of this fiscal year.
Okay, so that actually would work out. I'm just thinking of school-wise too. Yeah, Bendy Canyon there, and you have the bus yard with all the buses.
Yeah.
So they get out like beginning of June, June 5th or something. So that by the end of June, this fiscal year, that all works out.
Yeah, so our staff does a good job of coordinating. I know Public Works Director goes to different 2x2 meetings, and we have the current project on Palomar where we've been able to juggle the needs and bases of the elementary school. So we put that in our bid specifications that the contractor is cognizant of the school schedule. In this case, the spring break for the school is the end of March. So there's that window of opportunity, and for the most part, these road projects that are pretty intensive, we do target that summer period.
Yeah, it sounds like it might line up.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm just thinking, it's not just the students, you have the whole bus yard there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there is that intent, and included in this project was to even do the cul-de-sac that leads into the bus yard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so there was some thought in, again, maximizing the interim community stress for the maximum community benefit.
And then the park, so how are we going to do that in between the events?
That's a great question. So we have the benefit of having Daniel within our department. So we will coordinate that in a way that typically you're able to drive on that 12 hours later. So we're not going to do it in conflict with any special events.
Okay.
There is a requirement to provide interim striping, so in this sake for parking spaces. And it's the same concern with City Hall too.
Yeah.
So that is something that has to be ran across that way. We don't conflict with any community meetings, council meetings, planning commission meetings, things of that nature, and of course our special events. So we have them on our team. It is a natural maintenance thing that does have to occur every 6 or 7 years. So we'll be undergoing that in a way that causes the least inconvenience to the community.
Thank you.
So then, I did have one question on there was 13 different things listed in the agenda, right? You said you weren't going to mention them all, but one of them, it's a small dollar amount, but it says from Measure Z, $20,000. So what does that apply to? Were you saying we're redoing
Parking lot.
That's specifically for the Marno O'Brien Park.
Okay, when I heard that, I go, okay, that must be it, but okay. Then, and I might have asked this question a couple of years ago when this came up, but I noticed that under minor arterial is Bayless, and then for collector is White, and I'm not even sure where Wyman Road is. It looks like it's somewhere by. somewhere in a no man's land.
Yeah.
That's by Tres Lagos. So what are
So
those?
it is in of itself the planned roadway network classification. So some of those roadways don't exist yet, but if projects come forward that want to develop and are on one of these identified networks, then it would be the nexus for us to list a number of conditions that they would have to comply with in order to fulfill the project. So this helps us just the development end of the city's services with identifying that.
Sure.
But yes, several segments are paper roads today or non-functioning roads that we've identified as far as just like their circulation benefit to the overall network.
Sure. And there's a person in the audience that might remember a story that I'm going to tell his story where because this is it's a line on a map, and if we would have had a supervisor in the past draw a line on the map, that would have made putting a road out of the farm easier. But there was no line put on the map, which I'm glad we are doing that. That's why I kind of asked, because for those that might be looking at the exhibit and see that, they might think, what? But now you've explained it. Thank you.
Yeah, and again, this is just from the general plan update that was adopted in 2024. So, thank you.
Any questions?
Nope.
All right.
Thank you, Cameron.
City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
No public comments.
All right. With that, my only comment is I'm super excited about this project. I know it's something that residents have been very vocal about and we're really excited about. So thank you so much for putting this together.
I'll make the motion.
All right.
I'll make a motion. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just did want to make one other comment. I coincide. I know we had put out a public information video that communicated this project coming up. We do also separately have the traffic signal projects on Bundy Canyon. That's an active project, so contract has been awarded. We began the mobilization process with that. Typically, it takes several months to procure the material for the traffic signals, but separately from this project, the community should look forward to that benefit as well. And that's specifically at Bundy Canyon and Orange, a traffic signal improvement, and then a new signal at Bundy Canyon and Harvest Way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Cameron.
Thanks, Cameron.
Mayor, I'll make a motion. Hey, I don't know. It seemed to habit like. It was also a great presentation as well. So, the police officer and Cameron. I'll make a motion to approve item 3.3, all the items in 3.3, in addition to the resolution 2026-11.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Motion carries 4-0.
Awesome. All right. That brings us to council communications.
Yes, I have a few pictures, I believe. So this is the VFW here in Wildomar. They've honored a teacher at Ronald Reagan Elementary School, and they invited me to attend with them. So congratulations to teacher Gwen Styria for receiving the Teacher of the Year award by the Wildomar VFW. And this is all of us. So we flew to Sacramento. I had a California Policy Committee meeting as well. The speaker for that was from the California Conservation Corps. Now, with my nonprofit, we have volunteered and partnered with California Conservation Corps, but there's a lot more that they can do. So I think maybe something is we can set up a meeting with the city with them, because there's actually more things that they actually could do with our city. And then we had a great time at League. This is MSJC. They were unveiling their new IE Now, which is a news channel there at the college in Menifee. And so I attended the groundbreaking for that. And so we'll be able to get some local news on their channel. Yeah, I'm going to contact them for Earth Day. Next. And this was the Mega Mixer. This was, 10 or so different chambers came together. This was at Elsinore Storm Stadium. And so it was a great turnout. Probably 1,000 or so more people were there. If you haven't attended before, please put on your calendar. I think that's it. I also attended a grant workshop put on by Assemblymember Johnson. It was a lot of good information about how the city could receive grants and also how nonprofits could receive grants. I also attended the McDonald's opening on the second day. They had 2 days. Mayor Marquez was there, and I did a video, and I posted it on Facebook. The manager seemed so community-minded. I wasn't able to attend the day before. I was at Rocky Red, but the high school was there, the band, I know you were there, so I love that he invited the Elsinore High School band to attend, and I just love that he seems really community and great for our community, community-minded. Thank you.
All right, just a couple notes. Let's see. With RCTC, we meet tomorrow. But we did have a workshop in Cathedral City, lots of information, but the key takeaway from there was there doesn't seem to be the public support for an additional sales tax increase. Can you imagine that? So that's not going to be put on the ballot. But at some point, there may be a measure to continue Measure A on the ballot, and then that we would definitely want to keep, because without that, there would be like no road projects in the whole county. All right, there's that. SCAG meeting, CEHD is what the subcommittee I'm on, and there's a couple of receive and file presentations. League of California Cities was last night in Beaumont, was there with our city attorney and our community development director. And then just a couple of helping residents notes. There was a call from a resident regarding just a stop sign. I guess had been part of a traffic accident, and maybe it was bent over and it got bent part way back. But like within the day, I mean, it's not going to always be this way. But and it happened to be on a Monday. You didn't. This call wasn't on a Friday or whatever. But as it worked out, that a couple of stop signs were changed out right away. And so if you see something, say something, and there's a good chance that we're going to be able to get to it. And then not a day or two after that, a resident finally gave me the rest of the information about a beehive, active beehive. And again, that was another one where they called at the right time of day, and code enforcement went out. And at first it's like, well, we're not sure. It was like, wait, that is a city tree. There's a beehive. I got a photo of the beehive, and I believe it's already been taken care of. So if you have issues, contact one of us, and we're going to see what we can do to help you get it resolved.
Well said. Let's see. Yeah, I forgot. I completely forgot about Sacramento, Bridget. For the whole week of my life. Yeah, we did that networking breakfast. I'll be doing that again this next Thursday for the city, the student of the month for January and February for the Lake Elsinore Unified School District, presenting certificates on behalf of my colleagues and the city. We actually had it today, and we had 2 coffees with the city so far. Carlos, Mayor Marquez, did a great job. Yeah, it's the Carlos and Dustin team, you know. So, and we're already thinking alike. But that's about it. So, yeah.
All right, thank you, Pro Tem. For myself, so yeah, you guys saw some of the highlights already shared. Was able to attend the league conference at the end of January. As Councilmember Moore mentioned, McDonald's on Bundy Canyon had the grand opening. I want to give a shameless plug and shout out to them because they're in my district. But also, just to highlight and promote what a welcome addition owner-operator Matt Ajayi is to the community. He's very focused, very passionate of participating and contributing to our community. Little known fact, 95% of the McDonald's in Southern California are actually franchises. So they're just local business owners, right? And so I know a lot of the time we see the golden arches and we're thinking, hey, this is all corporate. The reality is actually different. And again, I just wanted to welcome Matt. I don't know if you're watching or not, but we're happy to have you here.
He's probably watching.
With that being said, yesterday I got to attend my first 2x2 with EVMWD. It was great. Got an update on the septic to sewer process. It sounds like we've got about 70% of residents or owners, property owners in the Sedco area that are opting in. And good news, there's still opportunity to opt in if they're interested. Also, want to highlight the great coordination between city staff, so Public Works, and EVMWD. We're looking to continue to work together on Bundy Canyon Segment 2. That being said, this morning we had coffee with the city. Tomorrow we will have coffee with Assemblymember Kate Sanchez, 8 o'clock, 8:30? 9 o'clock. Just want everybody to get here early, that's all. At 9 o'clock, so that's open to everybody in the community and everybody in the district, the 71st district. And then on Thursday, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, we'll be at the Chamber Network networking
Cove.
breakfast
Yep.
at the Cove.
It's 7:30.
And next week, guys, it's a busy month. Next week,
Yeah.
we have grand opening, Inland Valley.
hospital.
The hospital.
Yep.
Yeah. That also falls on
Also, more importantly,
Dustin's birthday. So early birthday. Please join us at the hospital. We'll be celebrating there.
yes, we will. they chose that day for my birthday. It was really
Yeah.
nice of them.
But with that, that concludes my portion of council communications. City manager, do you have a report?
Nothing for tonight, thank you.
All right. Are there any future agenda items? None? Okay. I will now adjourn the City Council and Cemetery District meeting at 8:01 p.m.